So how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How about you?
I couldn't be better at this moment. I am so happy to have you on. So you got to watch that Nick Nimmin show, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that, or did you catch it afterwards?
I didn't. So I was kind of flipping through. I was watching his stream. I do watch a lot of live streams. I like what he has to say as it relates to like information about YouTube channels and whatnot. But I actually found him through a channel called Live Streaming Pros. I don't know if you've ever seen that channel, but they give tips on live streaming specifically on like different tiers of software and how to grow your channel and grow your views. So I would definitely suggest checking them out. But yeah, it was a good show. I subbed to his channel. I really kind of go through and look at his videos. And that's how I found your channel.
Awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. Live Streaming Pros. I am making note of that right now. I may have already seen them, but yeah, I may have already seen them, but oh god, I've hit so many of them recently. It's not even funny. So, but I'm always open to find new tips for exposure. I don't know how long you've been listening, but one of the reasons I started this channel was to actually give guys like me, and I don't know about you. I haven't visited your properties, but more exposure that they wouldn't normally have, because not everybody's got interviewers beating down their door, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting. I think it's a great platform. I think this idea of taking live callers, I mean, it's really like reinventing terrestrial radio with like live caller, live audio callers and things like that. So doing videos are really cool. And I like the fact that you're doing the audio version. And I think, just keep doing it. And I don't want to be like somebody that just gives advice, but I do view like a lot of live streams on YouTube, on Twitch. I understand this market, and I think it's really good. I think you can get, interesting guests. That's going to get your exposure up there, just like you said. Getting maybe like connecting with other YouTube personalities and say, hey, maybe like more of a podcast format, and then after the fact say, oh, bring on guests that want to ask questions and stuff like that. I think that could really boost engagement. The word, people that have their own followings. On YouTube specifically, though, it's hard to get discovered because you get lost in just, they don't have like a live, really a robust live section. So it's difficult.
No, they don't. Yeah, it really is, as I'm finding out, obviously. and my goal is to actually do a whole lot more live streaming on other platforms as well. It's just that this one in particular, I found that there's a whole lot of people that need more exposure. So I thought, well, let's try this out on YouTube first. No, but that's great advice.
What other platforms have you thought about trying?
Well, Facebook, obviously, because there's a lot of people who are hungry for entertainment. Although I'm not a huge Facebook fan, I know it very well. Yeah. When you've got your tribe to broadcast to, then they're usually pretty receptive to whatever content you're putting out. But I haven't considered too many other platforms just yet, or destinations just yet. Would you suggest Twitch as a potential here?
I think Twitch is really interesting, and I go on there a lot, and I've really seen the changes over the past couple of years. And so basically, Twitch, they were offshoot of Justin TV, and then they focused entirely on gaming. They really couldn't create non-gaming content, and they introduced the creative categories. Some of those little fringe gaming talk shows and stuff, but it had to be gaming related. And then last year, 2 years ago, they opened up IRL, which was just anything goes. And then so now they changed it to, they got rid of IRL and they put them into sections. And you can see like where all the focus is really going, and that's the just chatting category. And I think it really would help you know, because just looking at your channel, the quality is top notch, the branding is top notch. I love the logo you have there, the little watermark, and the, you know, the marquee scrolling and the meeting ID. So I think you would get some interesting people. The thing is with Twitch is it's a much younger demographic. There's a lot of trolls on Twitch that, taking live viewers, you're going to get people that are going to try to mess with you, that are going to catch your channel, especially if you grow more. You're going to have to, you know, do a little more screening on who the people are that you're going to bring. But if there are people that have their own YouTube, their own Twitch channel, and they're more prominent in that community, or they've, you know, maybe you have some like, hey, I don't know, like a second screen that you can say, hey, can I see what you look like first or something? I don't know. And then, but then that gets,
well, I do.
You know, then that
I do actually. I
like, oh, you won't take me on the show, and they get all crazy. So I think it's a great platform for exposure. It's wonderful, but it has its pros and its cons for sure.
And I've thought about that.
Looked at it?
Twitch? No, because of what you said earlier. You know, even in my mind, the perception is it's more for gaming than anything else. But you say it's changed in the last couple of years. I might have to do that. And yes, on the.
Sorry about
Go ahead. No, it's all right.
No. Keep going. What were you saying?
What I was going to say was that. I've thought about the risks, right? Because there's always that risk that somebody's going to come on and make an ass out of themselves, and by extension me. Trolls going to be trolls, right? Yeah. In fact, I had my first troll about a week ago where it was hilarious. I didn't read through his entire comment, so I wasn't even aware he was a troll, and he's just like, "No, bro, I'm a troll." Whenever you get a troll to admit that they're a troll, I think you've kind of won.
Yeah, but, exactly. The goal is to ignore them, and I think it's because live streaming is like, that's the one downside with. I mean, it has a million upsides, but the one of the big downsides is that the trolls gravitate towards live streaming because they get an instant reaction. It's like you troll, you can see their face, so you know, that's why they do it.
Well, I always have my I always have my finger when it. I'm looking forward to some of them, right? Because I think it could be good content. It's when they're going to try to get me kicked off, you know, by showing some nudity or something. But you know, that's one of those things where I don't think I would let them on unless I could see their face. And as soon as I see their face and it gets on the screen, like in my split here, then I would know, right? It's like, okay, now we've got their face. And if you're going to like suddenly do something that way, well, then it's on you. I have plenty of recourse there.
Yeah, totally.
So.
I think it's great though, and you know, I think Zoom. One thing that I would suggest is to put the link in the description of your YouTube channel for your Zoom, just so people, you know, because I really haven't joined too many Zoom meetings. I've used other video conferencing, so for me it's a little more confusing. I had to go on Zoom, and it was a process. It's like join meeting and then launch in your browser or download something. So is there a way to embed just a link?
There is, and I'll have to actually do some research to see if I can actually embed the link to the meeting itself. And I should be able to, because it's not only app based, but it's also web based. So I'll definitely look into that. Yeah, I'm all about making it easier for folks, which is why I have so much garbage at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes you go overboard. What's that?
Yeah, but it looks good though. It looks good. I like the way.
Well, thank you so much.
You know, you have the channels, and then on your YouTube description, you have that as well for, you know, your Facebook, Twitter. You even put your Reddit on there. Yeah, Reddit's a great platform for growing live live streams. There's a couple different sections on there that if you, you know, if you create, the more you create live content, depending on how you distribute it, if that's kind of what your goal is whether just to have one channel with all your, you know, VODs so people can go back and rewatch. But a good suggestion for growth is, and especially with this type of content, is like, you know, taking different clips and then spreading them on Reddit, spreading them on your Twitter. Reddit has a section called live stream fails, which is, you know, primarily Twitch content, but it's, you know,
I already have content for that channel.
Yeah,
I've already got a couple. I got a couple I could throw in there right away.
But you will. Yeah, you will eventually, depending on what, you know, what it is that happens, and especially if you have guests on and what the content is, they might create the fail. Like they might do something stupid or, you know, whatnot, depending on, you know, what type of demographic you kind of promote or that you're seeking. And if you're on Twitch, you're definitely going to get some people that are going to do some wacky stuff. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. And you know, it's funny you say that because you know, it was this was kind of an experiment into a realm that hadn't been what I thought hadn't been touched yet. And of course, you know, we've all seen the Celestial Radio call-in shows, but my whole thing was, well, let's try something a little bit different and know that the content will create itself, right? So when I get more guests on, that's where the fun happens, and that's where the interest lies. Really excited about it too.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, user-generated content is huge. You know, when I listen to talk radio, I'm a you know, kind of big sports guy. I live in New England. So sports talk radio is a big thing here. And, you know, if it was just the hosts, I would probably listen, but I wouldn't listen as long as I would if, you know, they had, you know, didn't have callers. Like the callers really make the content because they drive, you know, the discussion, and they also drive, you know, their personalities and kind of what they bring to the table. It's like they're an extension of the content. So
yeah.
I agree. And that's why when I saw your channel, I thought it was really interesting looking at the name, because I have a startup. I'm not going to plug it just because
No, by all means, plug it, man. Plug it. In fact, if you wanted to send me a link, I'll make sure I include that in the description. Under a different,
you know, a different circumstance, I definitely would. It's something that I try
okay.
I try to keep the internet and that stuff separate, you know, like,
sure.
Just because of, you know, trolls and whatnot, I try not to mix that stuff. But yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw your username, I just know that this content has a lot of like potential for growth, and to see somebody like you know, make your channel based on video calling, I think just the name alone will get people to be interested. And so what different strategies have you like written down? Like, what are your kind of goals? Like how new are you in like the whole like learning process of what to do?
Well, you know, I've only been streaming live on YouTube for about 3 weeks, and that's personally. It's not even been 3 weeks, I don't think. I've done personally. You know, you'll probably want to watch some of my earlier videos because I go into that in really great detail. In that, I was always that guy that never wanted my face, you know, out front and on the camera. And this was also an experiment to have me break out of that shell, right? It's not like I don't like to talk or anything, yeah. But I was just, it was almost a fear, really, because, you know, once you open yourself up, especially, you know, your face and oftentimes your name, and I'll probably go all out when this thing gets fully popular. But that was, like I said, that was one of the reasons I decided to do it. The strategies that I've had since I'm only about 2 weeks old have been kind of my wheelhouse strategies, right? I've been doing SEO and SEM forever, and I haven't yet marketed this channel on in the SEM realm, but I'm doing what I can because this isn't my profession on SEO whenever I get a chance, right? Right now, it's more about getting more people on like you, and then doing some of those things like hanging out on Nick's and other channels to really just kind of help people. I wasn't there to promote myself. I was literally just trying to help some folks like at graphics and that sort of thing. It just so happened that it worked out well. Yeah. So being that it's a hobby, I haven't thrown a whole lot at this. Reddit for me has been kind of a black hole. I try to join and be part of that community, not just be a, here, look at my videos, look at my videos, look at my videos, like you see so many people do. I was trying to help people out there too. And, but that's kind of my thing is if I'm going to get involved in something like that, it's not so much to promote me. If that happens as a side benefit, beautiful. But I'm really there to kind of help people out in whatever they need help with. I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, that's wonderful. Well, yeah, I think that's wonderful. I think, it's just going to help, the fact that you're not considered, like in some of these communities, it's there's a lot of people, especially in live streaming, just really trying to find that edge because there is a lot of money to be made in live streaming. I know that if you go on Twitch, you can kind of look at the numbers. If you Google, different Twitch related metrics, there's a site called Streamlabs that releases like quarterly information. They do long blog posts detailing, how much money has been going through each site. So there is a lot of money to be made. So with live streaming, there's just a lot of people aggressively promoting their stuff, whereas on what you're doing, I think is the best way. So what Reddit communities have you, what Reddit communities are you a part of that you give back to?
Well, obviously just the YouTube, right? Some of the graphics, I don't have the channels called up, but some of the graphics channels or subs, and of course, the standard ones, because when I started out, I heard a whole bunch about, you post a video up there and you'll get a good audience because people are looking for new videos. So I'm also in the shameless plug sub, and really there's no conversation happening there. People are just throwing their videos out. And that was the black hole, that one, and promote, YouTube promote, because that was the original idea, was to try to promote kind of passively. And then I thought, no, if I'm going to do this right, I got to start helping people. And that's when I got involved in YouTube, which is just the straight YouTube. They don't allow you to promote in there. And that's cool. I'll answer questions as much as I possibly can. And of course, hopefully, because my username is also a video call-in show, that it will generate, a listener base or a viewer base. So it hasn't, because it was kind of a, oh yeah, please do. If, because I wasn't getting a whole lot of answers on some of the things that I was, questions I was posing or solutions that I was posting, then I kind of thought, well, I just got to walk away from this for a while. I got to put food on the table as well, So it's been a short-lived.
I'm looking at that Reddit right now. I've never actually been to our YouTube.
Yep, our YouTube.
Yeah, really, for sure. I think there are definitely some other ones that I could suggest. And like, you seem like an audio guy. Have you ever done podcasts or anything before?
Actually, I produced a whole lot of podcasts. I built a studio here in downtown Indianapolis that was one of the, and this is tooting my own horn, but it was one of the finest and probably still is audio studios around. We converted it into a video studio as well. In fact, I've got sound panels all the way up around the perimeter, and they're all backlit with LED lights, so I can change the color of each individual one. Or that was the whole idea. There was to make it different for each client that wanted to come in. It wouldn't look like the same studio. So I did a lot. I constructed that from scratch, and I'm an electrical engineer from way back, so I also did all the wiring. I'm a handyman, so I did a lot of the construction as well. And, it's fully insulated walls, double pane windows, control room, main studio, 3 camera setup, using the same cameras that I use here, which are the PTZ optics cameras. And I also built it to where you could tear it. Yeah, I also built it to where you could tear it apart, take it out live, and literally just unhook the. It was all in a flight case, the main studio equipment, so you could unplug it, grab the cameras, go out and do a live shoot, and then come back and be right back working in the studio in a couple hours. So, but they couldn't sell it. And I don't want to go over that spilt milk, but so I went back independent. And since most of the mobile equipment was mine, I just bought a couple new cameras, and now I go out and do live streams for clients when they have a convention or a special event where they want to record it and or live stream it, and that's pretty much where I've been my bread and butter for the last year. Well, that was a scenic route. Sorry.
That's actually really amazing. Like, I'm just like, my mind's going a million places with like the potential with not only your ability as an electrical engineer. I actually have a lot of like live streaming ideas that kind of mix the kind of mixing the internet with like the physical realm. You kind of see that on some channels on Twitch that mix like interesting backlit LEDs, and it's actually like a cool talking banana on Twitch. So the guy he built a banana that talks based on people that donate money to the channel, and he has the video just on a little talking banana, and it's cool. Like he has a whole YouTube channel on how he built it and everything, and he actually got banned on Twitch because people were sending like hateful stuff. So he wrote an algorithm to go through and figure out how to stop the text from getting through, and people are creative in their own ways. But anyways, it's really cool to hear you do that. I mean, you definitely have the capabilities to really make it to really grow fast. I just,
dude, I hope you're right.
Full confidence in you. Yeah, and I think like we were talking about earlier, different Reddit communities. Our podcast is a good community for giving back. Giving feedback there's a lot of people that want to know how to create talk show formats, because there are people like Joe Rogan, a lot of video game podcasts on YouTube. Yeah. They stream their content live, so they want to understand how to mimic that sort of setup. Where you're doing it right now, and you've done it before, so that's a good one. Our Twitch is really good.
Our Twitch,
that one is really. Yep, that's even if you're not even a streamer on Twitch, they're going to give you this feedback, very intricate information about like communities and about content and about the do's and don'ts, and then obviously about the technical setups and whatnot. Most people on there use OBS. It's kind of low budget.
Oh yeah, I've used OBS.
Nice.
Yeah, right now I use vMix.
Okay.
But I'm familiar with OBS. It's pretty cool. It's a little limited for me, but I'm going to check out that the R Twitch. Maybe there's some technical advice. Yeah, maybe there's some technical advice I can throw in the mix and help folks out, and then grab passive subscribers from that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I know our podcast, they have like a promote.
Our podcast.
Like every, they have like a monthly or like weekly, just promote your own stuff, and you can just go and plug your channel and things like that. So
yeah, I found that a lot of them do that. There's a couple of Facebook groups that I'm involved in on podcast, and like I said, I really don't like the term podcast because it has such a geek not connotation, but perception. And so but I'm still involved. When I was with the studio, I was involved with a lot of podcasts, and they have that promote yourself Tuesday sort of thing, like pick a day of the week and you just promote your podcast. That's a good thing. That's especially a good thing for the little guy, because they're not going to get that kind of exposure otherwise, or they're going to just piss a whole lot of people off, right?
Right. Yeah, but no, giving back is definitely huge. That gets yourself, the credibility to kind of promote yourself a little bit more, for sure. But yeah,
keeps you from being a pain in the ass.
Cool.
Well, thanks, man.
Have
I
you
so
had a lot of
appreciate that.
video? Have you had a lot of video guests on so far? Or?
No, actually, you're my first guest, dude.
Oh wow!
I know
All
that.
right.
I know
Well,
that
thank you.
sounds weird, but you are. Yeah, other than my son, you are my first live guest. So you hold a special place in my heart, man.
Oh wow!
And I can't tell you how much
Right,
fun
yeah,
this has been.
that's awesome.
If you would,
Uh,
and I don't know your real name, so if you would email me some of those links. I know I've got Live Streaming Pros and a couple of the Twitch links, but you were talking about some others in Twitch that I'm really interested in. Because, like I said,
yeah,
the YouTube section of the YouTube section of Twitch seems to be kind of a black hole. Most of my advice doesn't get answered. So I want to find some really active subs that I can go in and talk to people with. And you see my email address at the bottom there, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Another
Cool.
YouTube channel that I actually just thought of, and you spoke about it, the PTZ Optics. Have you checked out their YouTube channel at all?
Oh yeah, I've been a subscriber of theirs for probably the last 2 years. I've been using PTZ cameras for maybe 3 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
That and
Yeah,
vMix as well.
So
I mean, I'm
like their live with Seth. I think his name's Seth Richards. On his,
I watch a lot of their live streams. Mm-hmm. Yep, I do.
Yeah,
now, I haven't gotten into.
I mean, that's how I got turned on to vMix. I saw them promoting it. They had the guests on the creators of vMix on there. I thought it was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, vMix has a lot of live streams too that I watch. Those guys from down under, they're pretty cool guys, really.
Yeah, that's where they're from, Australia. I thought I couldn't tell where they're from.
Yeah, well, I'm not the best at accents. What's that?
Have you tried their like video? I know that vMix has their own video calling solution. Have you tried that? Like the video call?
I have. I have. Are you ready for a short story on that? When it first came out, I was real excited about it because we'd been using Zoom, but we also had this is at the studio. We had a bunch of people that would go out with us to the live stream. Now, they didn't need to be there, but it was just kind of a company promotion thing. And they would take their phones around and take videos. And when vMix Call came in, I thought, oh, well, fantastic. Now we can have them go out and have the be on a vMix call with us, so I could use it as an input source, and then I could take it just like it was another camera. So at times I had like 5 different cameras that I could use as sources. Now here's what we found out: as the more sources that you would have on a vMix call, the more choked it gets, because it runs all through a single server as your call itself. It's like, oh man, and so they were horribly choppy, and the quality was low. And God love the vMix guys, but I had to dump it after that. I just couldn't, unless I would just use it for one specific cell phone or a remote camera. I couldn't use it. But it was a great idea, and still is.
And I'm sure
if they could work out the bugs.
They're probably improving it very soon. It's probably like high up on their list, just because there's other people that want to do the same thing that you suggested, for sure. That's something.
Oh yeah. It was the prospect of it working wonderfully was just exhilarating. I was like, oh, this is great, especially with today's smartphone cams. I thought this is going to be awesome. Not so much. But that's the one thing about vMix, man. Their program is really powerful, especially even if you're just a little guy and want the free version, you can still get a lot out of it. Probably not as much as OBS unless you start paying, but you do get a heck of a lot of other functionality that you won't get in OBS. Look, I'm plugging them. They should sponsor me.
Because I've actually tried. I tried to help like an online, basically this online news show, and they just don't have very good automation for OBS. It's very manual in how you run the production. It's like So you bring your assets in, you create your scenes, you create your
Yep.
your elements or your sources. But it's like, all right, well, you want to have, like automation. You want to have like a playlist of different, like how the show is supposed to go. Like you have your certain images and your videos and your cue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very manual and it's very hard to keep things organized. So most people that do
Yep.
shows on OBS just do like just themselves with their green screen overlay of themselves talking, and then them going to like just like a screen share with their desktop
Mm-hmm.
audio, and they'll go and click on an image on Google and things like that, which is cool. Like that's great. But if
Yeah.
you want to like
Yeah.
produce like a talk show, like news format that has very similar to like ESPN or Sports Center, like Around the Horn, or where they have like a little rundown list on the right hand side or
Yeah.
on the left hand side. Anything that's like graphically overlaid, you need to use like third party systems, like what they call them, character graphic systems.
Character generators. Mm-hmm.
Web over. Yeah, character generators. I forgot the name.
Mm-hmm.
But you see a lot of people now using, especially in that community, the web overlays, which is huge for like Streamlabs and things like that. But yeah, that's really one of my biggest gripes about OBS is that it's pretty limited with what you can do, even though it's open source. You think you can build all these cool plugins, but it's not that much.
Yeah, for open source, it is a great program. I actually I do a podcast for Christian Questions, and I was literally just trying to help them do it themselves, and I had to recommend OBS because there's a budget and a platform restriction. Like I don't think vMix is Mac friendly just yet, so I said, well, why don't you try OBS? Well, what they were trying to do was have the music flow into the next scene. And I don't know how to do that in OBS. Maybe it is capable of that, but I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So now they have me do it for them, which is great because vMix it's no problem at all. And that was the main shortcoming that I found with it for my purposes.
Yeah, I agree. That's the issues that I had. I mean. One thing that I tried to do in OBS is, and I don't know if vMix has this, but the ability to add so you add your source and then making it use like 3D coordinates to, let's say you have like a 3D generated background, like similarly you see a lot of these like virtual set and things, but you just it's a fixed. It doesn't rotate or anything like that. It's just one still image, and then putting that camera like on a 3D. TV that's in the corner or something like that. In OBS, you can't do it. At least now, they used to have the ability, and then they removed it. So now you have to use a third-party plugin, and it's not very good.
Yeah.
So does vMix actually have that ability? Can you do 3D sources on there?
I don't know. And when you say 3D sources, you're not talking about. You're not talking about the 360 degree sort of video, are you?
No.
Or are you talking about?
Or it's like taking an overlay or an image and then just using the Z plane basically, rotating it, viewing it.
Oh yeah, you absolutely have that. It would be manually done. Let's see. I could probably show you if what you are thinking about, it's just going to be my backdrop here for a minute. Let me position. Yeah, see, get that. Is that what we're talking about? Just being able to manipulate it to that degree? Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. You have all the access to manipulate it on. Yeah, it's a really robust. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I use it all the time. In fact, my two screen here, the video background is actually a slightly twisted and laid back 2D image of my little talk bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's It's a really robust program. And like I said, I don't remember what the lower tiers are, but I know you can get in free and have that same sort of functionality, albeit you won't get as many inputs available to you or NDI inputs or anything like that. But you can bump up for, I don't know, $100 and double or triple that if memory serves. I'm of course, I bought the big package only because I use it professionally, but you don't have to get into it that deep. You really don't. I love it.
Right.
Wow. First guest, dude.
I know. I'm gonna go,
there's got to
go buy a crown and wear it all day. No, I actually I really don't.
I'm gonna have to
or do do anything like this. I do use Discord, which I don't know if you ever used Discord or do you know about it?
No, I don't. No, I can't even say I do.
Yeah, well, when you get into Twitch a little bit, if you start reading Reddit or you go to Twitch to check out channels, most streamers have their own Discord. It's it's really kind of like Skype, but it's like mixing Slack and Skype together, where it's like a chat program, but it has video and it has like voice server capabilities, and it's really custom. That you if you create your own Discord server, you can like create different text channels, different voice channels, and you can have group video calls, and it's very robust, and pretty much all gamers use it. Now businesses are using it instead of Slack, instead of Skype, because of just how easy it is to use. You don't need to download anything; it runs right in the browser. It's better if you download the app on your phone or desktop application, but it does work in the browser. And one of the things that people love about it is the fact that it doesn't leak IP information. It just you connect on there, and that was like one of their value propositions when they first created the service, because Twitch had a lot of people that would try to get IPs of the different streamers and then kick them offline if they're playing their games. And so they're like, well, how can we communicate with our community in a way that's not going to jeopardize their personal boundaries,
maintain the integrity of the stream?
Yeah, and maintain the community. So Discord was the solution, and it's grown tremendously. And what's really cool about that is that let's say you wanted to, and I'm going to be working on something to kind of solve this problem. But one thing a lot of streamers do is they integrate Discord into their production, where they'll say, hey, we're taking live callers, join the Discord, and then they just bring them into a voice Discord channel on there, and they just pipe it in through desktop audio, through the software that they're using, typically the OBS. Which it's great if you want to grow a Discord. It's great if you want to get people in there that don't trust whatever the platform is, and you can grow your community on there.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I suggest checking it out if you're ever looking to form a community or something like that. I think it's
well, now that you mention it, when you mentioned that in the same sentence as Slack, I remember seeing it come across as an option when we were doing that for the corporate. But yeah, I will check it out more thoroughly.
Yeah, cool. And I've looked for different like live streaming communities on Discord. There's actually some websites that bring together like all the different people can go on there and put their Discord into a search engine, and you can find other Discords. And yeah, there really isn't one that exists for specifically live streaming or podcasting that I found. There is a YouTube gaming one. There likely is a Twitch Discord, which you can go and like ask questions to like the developer, the help desk and whatnot. But yeah, it's I don't know what you think about that. I kind of lost my train of thought, but
that's okay, man. You're giving me nothing but great information here. Nothing but great information. I certainly appreciate it, man. I do. This is good stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot. Like you said earlier, it is a growing format. There's so much different like formats of live streaming that have really taken over the past couple of years. I mean, have you ever heard of IRL streaming?
Oh yeah, that I have. The problem is that I've found is
what were you saying?
If I might, the problem I found is in any of this entire world of live streaming and or even video recording, which sounds really odd. It's a tough sell to a lot of clients. In one of my other videos, I mentioned that I've been developing websites since probably 1994. I think my first website was paid website was 1994, right after the image spec came out. Yeah, and for like I don't know 10, 15 years. It was such a hard sell to try to tell organizations like, look, you need this because X, Y, and Z. Now we're in the same boat with video, right? With especially live video or any sort of video production that augments their marketing efforts. They still just don't get it. We're in that infancy as far as I see.
So how are you trying to sell to these companies that live streaming is a thing for them? What are your tactics? Well,
I don't have to. It's all word of mouth right now, but I have talked to a whole lot of people. In fact, the studio I was telling you about earlier, the studio was an arm of an entire digital marketing firm on the other side of the building, right? It was all the same company. And this is really weird because that digital marketing company, the guy who owned that, for whatever reason, wouldn't try to take it to his current clients to augment their digital marketing. So look, we've got an entire audio video studio here. You don't have to do a podcast. Let's just do some video content pieces that, that get the strengthen their brand, work on their products, and that sort of thing. It never happened, dude.
Wow.
even for them, it was too new. I know.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
I know I've actually worked at a co-founder. He's still kind of involved, but he's not in the current venture. He worked for a digital marketing company, and yeah, I mean, video services are huge for them. They, not only do the website, the SEO, and brand social marketing strategies. But yeah, video, pre-recorded. They don't do live, but I do see businesses doing that, and I'm curious. Like, so when you talk to different people trying to sell them on why live is big, what have you kind of told them? Like, what's your go-to? Like, how do you sell them on this is going to help your brand and help your marketing?
Well, my go-to stat has always been that a marketing email that contains a video is 300% more likely to convert, not just be seen, none of that, just literally convert, whatever that metric is, whether you want a warm lead, you want a phone call, it doesn't matter. 300 times more likely to convert. For me, that's all I need to know. That is all I need to know. But the problem is what I'd run into is like they'd be all excited once you tell them some of the, because there are a lot of other good stats too on video marketing. But what, the eyes light up, and then what happens is they think, oh shit, now there's work to be done. Now I got to figure out who's going to be on camera. What are we going to say? And of course, at the studio, it's like, we can help you with that. Don't worry. We'll walk you through the process. Okay. We'll, help you write scripts and storyboards and all that. But I think it was just overwhelming for a lot of companies. But yeah, that stat alone is enough to sell just about anybody. And it's true too. There've been several studies that have shown that. And the way we can track things nowadays, good Lord. Just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But it can be a struggle, man.
Live streaming is interesting as a format to sell, products and brand. I think it's the biggest thing about live streaming is the engagement and the connection that you get with your, with the company that you're trying, with your fans or for your whoever it is that's viewing that content. And it's really that it's raw and it's not, depending on what, and I guess it really depends on what the brand is. Like, I don't think live streaming is, and it's just my opinion, that it's probably good for every company.
No, not every company.
I think that if you're something that sells something that's very, like, I'm trying to think of some examples. Like if you're so big, I don't think it really, like if you're like a Coca-Cola or a McDonald's or, you know, just some major brand, I don't know if it's necessarily going to help. But I think if you're like a smaller to mid-tier business that sells like products where you have like really hardcore fans that love, you know, what you provide, I think that could be huge.
Yeah, and it's the provide is really it, right? You've got to answer their pain during those live streams. So that your entire goal behind even doing a live stream would be to answer a pain, right? For your potential clients, customers. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've done a lot of thought about I've done a lot of this, so I get the marketing side, and I'm not a classically trained marketer. I just after doing those websites, I moved into the SEM world, really just by I don't know, it was a necessity. The firm that I was with didn't have one, so we had to provide that for clients. and actually, you know, it's funny too because I really fell in love with it. Go ahead.
So what is SMM? What does that stand for?
Oh, search engine marketing.
Is it social? Oh, search.
No. Search engine. Yeah. I mean, nowadays you can do a whole. I mean, it's kind of broadened into the social media world with Facebook ads and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's primarily search engine marketing, ads and both ads, video, and we're talking about images as well. But that's where I started becoming what I termed a lead generation specialist, where it wasn't so much about the silly, you know, impressions and even click-through rate. The idea is to get somebody to convert, right? And whatever that convert, like I was talking about earlier, that convert metric is, you want more of. And then I also helped people on the backside because, you know, it's one thing to get a call. It's another thing to handle it properly and actually turn it into a sale. So I helped many clients on the backside of that as well understand what to do with all that I'm sending you. But yeah, search engine marketing has kind of been a passion. It's like this. It's like this exact thing right here, where I'm trying to best the YouTube algorithms as we speak, and it's frustrating as hell. But that was so much fun doing it, like on the Google and the Yahoo and Bing side, is try to figure out. Not spam, of course, but figure out how best to get my clients to the top with relative keyword phrases. I mean, it's a battle of wits with one side's totally unknown, and the other one may not have wits.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of like, you know, constant research into like different techniques and, you know, really getting a good understanding
A/B testing
of the platform.
Yep.
How do you
ton of A/B testing
on YouTube? How do you find like other like live streams? Like what methods have you used like, for finding other live streams on YouTube?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because being what I consider a YouTube noob on this side of the camera, I've been actively searching for that. In fact, if you look back in the chat, Champworks Garage was helping me figure out whether or not I was showing up in any feeds. And of course, he's a subscriber, so he'll see me as like his recommended feed. But the live channel in particular has become kind of a thorn in my side, in that I don't understand what they're doing on their algorithm to show 4-day-old live streams as a recent stream, when there are, you know, literally thousands of these things going on every day, I have to imagine. Or let's just say hundreds. So so trying to figure out that system and how best to get in front of the people that I think, you know, would want to be in front of, then has been my latest challenge. But again, we're early into this, so I'm still learning the YouTube algorithms. I'll get them.
Yeah, you'll get it though. I think you already have one of the biggest. Yeah, I mean, I'm so confident, man. Like I said, I do think that I just started looking at, and I mean, I looked at your channel and I immediately saw it and I got it, and it made sense to me, and I really think taking guests on is going to be huge. But I mean, man, the quality's good. Have you? So, like, where's that and what? So, where are you streaming out of? Is that just like your house, or what's the location?
Yeah, this is my home office. It's my home office.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice. Have you thought about?
I've been independent for so long.
Or anything?
Funny you say that. I've been thinking about turning this entire room, and it's not a small room by any stretch. It's probably 15 by 15, so it's a nice size spare bedroom. But I've been thinking about turning this into a full-fledged studio.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I loved every bit about. Hey, do me a favor. Write this down. It's the studio that I was talking about, and I don't mind saying this. It was Edge Media Studios.
Okay.
They've got a promo video that was done by a really good friend of ours, AJ a blog. And I'm actually the guy sitting. You'll see me because I'm sitting at the control desk. But it's an early version of what we put together and what AJ had put it together as a promo video. It's really kind of sharp, but it'll show you exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking at it right here. So is this their YouTube channel that I'm looking at?
It might be. I think you can go to edgemedia.studio, or I actually secured, what was it, edgemediastudio.com? I can't remember. It's been over a year since I was with him, but I think he's still plodding along. And, he's still a friend of mine, but it just so happened that he couldn't afford to keep most people there, so we had to, it had to go away. And I was so sad because I literally thought I'd been able to build the place I was going to finish my working life at. I'm no spring chicken. I'm 55, and I thought, okay, I can hang out here for another 10 years and produce video content for clients. I got no problem with that at all. I built this place. It's comfortable. It does everything I need it to do, and of course it'll only get better as time went on. And then he asked me to go contract again. I thought, oh, it's gonna die. I can't watch it die. So I decided to strike out on my own. But yeah, we still talk. We're still friends. He's a good guy. Just had trouble selling it is all.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right here. So this is in Indianapolis, I assume?
Yeah. Yep. Right downtown.
I don't want to see.
No. And I'm southeast. I'm about, I don't know, 7-10 miles southeast of Indy. So, but I still consider myself Indianapolis since I grew up there.
Nice.
Crossroads of America, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been thinking about turning this. Yeah, I've been thinking about turning this room into a full-fledged studio, steel door, the whole works. I was just going to go all out just for fun, if nothing else, and then create my own working environment. Where I could work on just about anything in here, whether recording or editing, or because I edit a local television program as well and direct it, and so a lot of my time is spent at the laptop, getting all that squared away.
Yeah.
And this would be a great place to do it because it's right here.
It looks good. I think,
Thank you.
My first impression is that I think it reflects your brand. You have the plant there, what you look like. It's a very, more professional, like, hey, we're gonna talk. Whereas like, a lot of the stuff you see on Twitch is very like, kind of, I don't know about edgy, but
like laptop camera-ish, or are you talking about on the other side?
Yeah, well, I mean, like the background. So a lot of the people on Twitch have a green screen. They just go on go on Amazon. They buy like a cheap little green screen. They put it on there. And then they build like a little set. They download some virtual set, or they make it themselves, and it's more just edgy. Whereas that's kind of what Twitch is. Where I think like if you went on there, I think you would get a different demographic. I think you would get a lot of exposure. It would take a bit to build up your channel, but I think just people would click just looking at your channel right now. That's what interests me. I think that'll get people to click through once you hit that little point. Getting over like 10 consistent viewers. I think that's just enough to get you over that threshold where you're up on the rankings. And so that's how Twitch works. Is that the more viewers you have, the higher up you are in that specific category. Whereas, like you had explained, YouTube doesn't really have that. That algorithm for YouTube live streaming is like, there's different metrics that are probably added into it, like the chat engagement, likes and dislike ratio, view count, subscribers. Whereas Twitch, it's just strictly numbers. So, and a lot of people on Twitch, they use view bots and stuff like that. They'll buy bots to push them up.
Oh,
which is illegal.
I hate cheaters, man.
There are people that still do.
Yeah. I hate cheaters.
It takes away though. I mean, as much as you'll say it's cheating, you'll know who's doing it because you go in and you see, oh, this guy has 100 viewers, but his chat's going like, one message per minute. If you have 100 viewers, your chat's should be scrolling through pretty fast.
Should be flying. Yeah.
Right. But yeah.
Oh man. Well, Nodetone. I can't thank you enough, man, for being on. As a first guest, I couldn't have asked for any better, dude. I am kind of throwing this because I got to go to the bathroom so bad. A lot of coffee.
Yeah, I do too.
And
I do too.
Yeah, I'm not going to be one of those live streams that walk away from the camera just to go to the bathroom. There are those out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool if you put like a little break, like a little something in there, like a video
or just a cardboard cutout of me. And let people just continue to talk.
Well, actually, come back. I want to ask you some more questions about your electrical engineering stuff, if you don't mind.
I'm going to do that.
All right.
Oh, what were you saying?
I'm going to go to, and I'll be back. I said,
okay.
Don't turn the stream off, or you can end the stream. We could talk on Zoom, but I would definitely like to ask.
I'll leave it up.
More questions about. All right. Cool.
Sure. No, I'll leave it up. I'll be right back.
All right.
All right, we are back. Ooh, that was a much needed break. I got my earphones in backwards, but that's okay. Still sounds the same. We've been talking to Nodetone. Suddenly a good friend of the show. If you stayed with us for this long, I hope you enjoyed it. That was too much. It was bothering me. There we go. Oh. I don't know why. You there? Oh, still muted. Unmute. There we go. You still there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah,
I hadn't touched anything.
I clicked on the mute button, but then I couldn't unmute it. It was like, oh, the host has to do it. So.
Yeah, well, I've got it set to mute all. So if you come back on, it'll mute you. You know why that is, right? That's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, for sure.
You never know what people are going to do. Plus, if somebody came on right now, then they wouldn't be just busting in. I'd be able to make sure that they were good to go before they came up live.
Right. Yeah,
awesome.
You need to do that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you said.
So what were you going to say?
Engineer, is that? So yeah, my questions are like, are you an electrical engineer? You said, did you go to school for that? Or?
I did. Yeah, but that was back in the 80s. when I was in broadcast television, that was my primary function was to maintain all the equipment down to component level. Whoops. So yeah, I'm very familiar with some old school stuff, not so much the new. In fact, when I got out, surface mount technology was just coming in vogue. So it was more The funny part about that is, and I don't know if you're an electrical engineer of any stripe, but back in the tube days, which we were still doing some, tube component repair, you would just replace entire panels, and then with solid state, we would repair components as they failed. Then surface mount technology came in, and it became another ball game of replacing modules. Had you done any electrical engineering?
No, I haven't. Well, not to the level that I want to. I'm actually extremely interested. I've done some very basic like Arduino and the Raspberry Pi. I got a Raspberry Pi right here with some GPIO output pins. I built the little circuits and things like that. I did some like basic tutorials, but nothing to that extent, nothing real low level. But I'm very interested because I just know of the potential. Like I have a lot of ideas that involve little like IoT devices and little things actually really specific to live streaming.
Oh yeah,
how you can make integrate live streaming with physical devices and things like that. Like here's just an example. One thing to like really get people to donate money, or I wouldn't say donate money, because live stream there's a huge thing that on Twitch specifically and on YouTube as well is like people can donate money to have something be done on the stream. Like if you give them $10, the host will do something funny for it. They'll play a song.
Yeah. Monkey Show.
Streaming, which is a site that streamers use, you can actually streamers can set up like, if you donate $10, you can put a YouTube video and play the song.
Mm-hmm.
Some streamers, obviously don't allow the video to be played over because even though YouTube's pretty safe, there are some not suitable for work videos on there that people will get your channel banned for putting it on there. But one of my ideas is like mixing. So Streamlabs has an API, and these other sites like Twitch has an API, YouTube has an API that you can interface those APIs, the things that go on, like if you get a donation, to trigger something in the real world. So, like for example, if you create a set, you create this cool set, you can build these little things in your studio to go off based on what happens on the stream, whether it's somebody that chats something or somebody that donates or somebody that there's infinite possibilities, and I think that alone can really just blow the content out of the water. I just when you mix the internet with like the physical world, in live streaming, it has the potential for like you could do anything. I mean, your mind can go a million ways. Like I have a zillion ideas, and
well, you ought to see the inside of my head right now.
What are you saying?
I said you ought to see the inside of my head right now. You're absolutely. I can just see. I can see just so many possibilities. Imagine things being triggered by the chat happening behind me, and it could be anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not going to take that from you, but wow, that is cool. You and I should hook up on that and think about some really cool ideas, because I wouldn't mind using this platform as a test bed at all.
Oh wow.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. I really do.
I mean, even if it's like a little like what do they call it? Like a matrix sign. I forget the actual term for it, but just like an LED sign that like a marquee that you have that scrolls based on somebody's set. I mean that's a pretty easy thing to build, but like and I know that they sell them, and I'm not too sure like people like use them, but like there's one that I've seen, like a confetti cannon that goes off when like somebody donate. Like I've seen it before, and it's like it's just that concept, not that specific one, but I just really think it can add value to to the stream. It can make it a little bit more interesting. It's like it's not just the content, it's also what goes on in the background. Like I actually, I'm thinking about writing an ebook for it, or writing, not a book, maybe some articles. I always like to think that. I'm like, oh, I have all this knowledge, I can write a book. It's like, nah, you can probably just write an article and that'll be just as good. Maybe a couple YouTube videos.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you.
It's like, why did people watch live streaming? And I've broken it down into really, and it's really content in general, but I'm really making it specific for live streaming. Do you want me to kind of go over some of those things if you're interested?
Sure, why not? I mean, I have my own theory. Yeah, go ahead. But my own theory would be it's almost a.
First, before I
Okay. My theory is kind of overreaching, but go ahead.
I want to hear yours.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Yeah. My theory is completely related to the rubberneck car wreck sort of scenario, right? People tune into live streams, especially when there's other human interaction, because they want to find things that that scare them, that interest them, that they can relate to. Think about some of the talk shows that people tune into, like a Dr. Laura, for instance. They want to learn about other people's pain, just like they want to see what happened in that car wreck and in the other lane. That's my theory. Yeah. I mean, it's something that you can't turn your eyes away from, even though it may be horrible. At least it didn't happen to you, so it gives you something to be thankful for. That's my theory, and again, it's not something I put a lot of thought to, but.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and that's a great example. And you're right though. There's a lot more to it for sure. But that you're totally right about that. Like the car wreck aspect, the train wreck aspect. It's like people like watching a train wreck, depending on what the content is. Like sports, like the NFL football.
Yeah,
people.
Yep.
People not only watch it for the competition and watching people play within a set bound of rules and athletic ability, but also the hits and the carnage and what happens between that. And that's really kind of one of the pieces of live streaming. And I've categorized them into like 7 key categories. And I keep adding new categories every time I think about it. But it's the randomness, it's the in the now need to watch live streaming. It's like, what's going to happen? I'm watching it because there's all this random stuff going on. Like if you're a live stream when you go out in public, that's a huge boost to that idea. Is that you don't know what's going to happen when you're in public. There's other cars driving. There's interactions with people, and if you're in an urban environment, at late at night where there's a lot of drunk people. It's, I mean, it just adds to it even more. It creates more like randomness. But there's some other ones, and I think, the next one I think is like having a skill set or the entertainment value or some like innate nature of like for you, like I watch because of you. Because you, the host of this show, is why I watch. Whether you're funny, whether you're good looking, whether you're, really athletic, or you have a skill in a video game, that's a huge component to it. Or your ability to interview people, or the content itself. Well, the content itself is really like what you're doing with your quality. That's kind of in a different category, but it's really the personality is why you watch. That's tremendously huge. That you need to have that. And the third one, likability. You have to be a likable guy, or else it's not going to help you grow. You're going to become just this, you could be
this crazy voice,
funny and entertaining, and have all these other things. But if you're not likable, people aren't going to watch you, and especially if you're not big enough. You're not like this NBA star like Kevin Durant, for example, who gets criticized a lot because of his mentality and his behavior. And some of these other shock jock hosts who have been highly criticized, and people try to take them down all the time. So it's like that likability is extremely important. It could actually be the most important thing out of all the different key aspects of why people watch live streaming, for sure.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Too bad people hate me.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
And,
at least I don't. I don't think
fame buys you. You touched on this, but fame buys you a license to be an ass. Going back to the pro sports guys, yeah. Mm-hmm. Certain license to be an ass.
For sure. And and I think it's hard with live streaming because you're so open to criticism, and people are going to constantly try to take you down. You know, especially on the internet with live streaming, especially on Twitch, you have a large contingent of the gamer population, which there's nothing really wrong with that. But I think there are a lot of isolated individuals who use video gaming as a escapism, and that in turn that culture in general is easy to bring other people down because they might not be making the best decisions themselves, and so they take it out on other people, and that can get the worst out of people that want to create live content because they're just criticizing you just to criticize you, to get a reaction out of you, and they're trolling you.
Yeah.
So they're gonna nitpick every little thing that you do. That it's like why is your light in that position over there? That looks dumb. And then you're like thinking about that. You're going to sleep at night, and you're like, why are they saying this? Like it's driving me crazy. Really, your reaction to how people, you've got to make sure, and this is where a lot of people stumble, is that they go after, their attitude towards the people that are viewing them is skewed. You have to treat yourself like a business as a live streamer. You have to think about yourself as a restaurant. If somebody makes a complaint, you have to be able to decipher what that complaint means and react accordingly. Don't just say to them, well, if you don't like my stream, go watch somebody else. It's like, maybe they're actually a real viewer and they have a complaint, and that's the difference between, them viewing you and a lot of other people viewing you. So,
and I would add to that. Yeah, and I would add to that you can't make knee-jerk reactions either. Just because you get one complaint out of 4,000 individuals that have seen the same thing that they have, doesn't mean you really need to change anything. So you've got to measure it too.
Yeah, it's extremely hard, and a lot of live streamers that I watch, they have a very difficult time doing that because they just, they get into their head. They start overthinking, what they're doing, and all these people. Like, once you start getting viewers, I feel like, and I haven't created a live stream, I haven't had that success because I don't think I haven't tried. Not to say I couldn't do it, but when you get more viewers, I think some people get high off of them. It's like, I got viewers, like it feels amazing, and it does feel amazing. And some people, they just have a difficult time dealing with that criticism as it continues to grow. It's an interesting thing, and live, like you don't see like athletes going live, you don't see politicians creating live streaming content, and I think purposely because they have a front that they're putting on. They don't want to. It makes you more vulnerable to that sort of like criticism, but also
it's an image
people.
It's an image they have to protect.
What you say out of context, and they'll try to they'll take that little thing that you said, and they'll just put that one little video, they'll put that one little part and put that out to the world, and that's all people see. They don't see what happened 5 seconds earlier, where you were saying, "All right, what I'm going to say right now is I'm completely joking as a disclaimer." They're not going to include that, and no one's going to care. Not one person's. It's just how media works. So that's incredible.
We live
like one little mistake is all it takes.
We live in a bite world, right? both sound bite and video bite.
And with Twitter, how impulsive people are, they just, whatever comes to their mind, they just put it out there for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, that's to kind of get back to what I was talking about, the key features is really the randomness, the entertainment value, the likability, and then there's also the interaction, and it's being interactive with your chat. If you're on Twitch, you really have to be interactive. If you're not interactive, you're doing it wrong. They won't promote you. You basically have to. It's like I think it's like in their guidelines that you have to be interactive.
Well, that's cool, and it probably should. I mean, yeah. Of course, if I'd gone live with my first Friday free for all, they'd have probably kicked me off. I was such an idiot because I hadn't had any. Oh man, I hadn't had any visitors, so I'm just yammering about whatever the subject matter I'd chosen was, and I forgot to check the chat. And so I close it up and I look over and I've got like 12 people talking to me, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I boned it, man.
Not good.
Yeah, I totally boned it. And the funny part about that was it was one of those nights where I decided to have a few beers and do a show. So I've got the alcohol excuse, but but there really was no excuse for that.
What day was it?
Friday? Yeah, it was the Friday free for all. Okay. I was so upset that I actually went back on that evening. It was like midnight at that point, and I got 0 views. It was horrible. And I was even drunker, so that was worse.
Yeah. So my lesson of drinking and live streaming might not go too well together.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get pulled over, but things like that are gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, that does add to the train aspect. What you said, the counteract aspect. The more you drink, just
the crazier show's going to get, likely to get.
If your guests are drunk as well, what you want to do is you want to make that a topic. Say drunk.
Oh yeah.
We're taking share your drinks. Go on live and tell us what you're drinking. Take a shot.
That's a great idea, actually.
Actively promote. You will get some people.
Yep. Take a shot every time the host says
Yeah. Right.
Because that's one of the hardest parts about doing this is not having the brain farts, right?
Yeah.
and I noticed that my first one. I was on for an entire hour, and I bet you I said more than, and in fact I was going to do a video montage. I was going to cut out every of that video and make it a video, and I didn't get around to it, but it was so horribly done. But I'm leaving it up there. What the hell? I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't have thin skin, so I just left it up there. Screw it.
Yeah,
they can take me out of context. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, you have to have thick skin to do live streaming, and especially to deal with the trolls for sure. You just don't feed them. The best advice, the mantra, just really be humble and don't feed the trolls. That's it.
Yeah.
If you live by that, you should be good.
That's great advice.
Well,
great advice.
Yeah, you just write it down. Put it on your desk there and look at it whenever you need a refresher. It's just be humble.
I've already made a sign in my head. It's going to sit right underneath my camera. It's going to be my constant teleprompter.
I mean, which I don't. Big enough, then you can be an asshole. Okay, once you
exactly
get up to 100,000 followers, then you can push it a little bit.
Even doing this as a hobby, I dream of that. I really do. Just because I know I'll be affecting a whole lot of people's lives that I wouldn't normally get to. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and I hope I don't turn into an asshole though. Yeah, I just that's one thing I don't want to do is become an asshole any more than I already am.
Yeah,
Because we all have, yeah, we all have our moments, right?
right. But yeah,
Oh
no,
man.
you just keep writing down ideas for different content. Like take notes on different live streams that you check out on YouTube. But you
Hmm.
definitely have to check out Twitch. We'll find some stuff on there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just on the
Yeah. I don't
topic
think I
that we
gave
were
it a fair
talking about.
shake.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
definitely
don't.
give it a shake. Facebook,
Mhm.
like you said, is another good one too. There's a lot of people that have their communities on there, but Facebook's a walled garden, and in that most people that stream are only streaming to their communities, to their following.
Mhm.
I know they have
Yeah.
their pages and groups and stuff like that, but they don't really have
Hmm.
a true discovery. They have their little map and stuff like that, but it's
Yeah.
not. Facebook is at least right now, they don't have as good of public opinion because of all the data leaks and everything like that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's not as many people streaming to Facebook. And I don't know. I honestly, this is completely coming out of my ass, but at least for myself, my own anecdotal evidence is that I'm not gravitated to any Facebook streams
Right.
because
Right.
it's not actively promoted and thrown to me in the way that streams on YouTube and especially Twitch are.
Yeah. Well, what I found on Facebook is, I think what I said earlier was that mainly people are streaming to their tribes, right? So it's already a base of followers, and and I want to do the same thing, but I want to wait until this channel takes off a bit more before I bring in friends and family, because friends and family can be a marketing channel as well, right? And then the idea behind any marketing is to get in front of those people who don't know you exist, that are more likely to, consume your product. So, and I'm probably being a wuss about that, but I just want to be a little bit more established and maybe even better at what I do here before I do that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's a tribe thing on Facebook.
I kind of agree. I think it's good to test. I think you're doing the right thing by just creating content and trying to see what works. And really, that's what it's about. It's not only all those other things that I talked about, but the content first and foremost is huge. You have the quality down. You have the ability, yourself on live stream. You have the ability to take guest callers. Now it's like, who are the guest callers? Maybe have like, maybe one show a week that's designated to a specific topic or something like that, or
well, you'll notice
like
that.
you said, like a free Friday.
Well, you'll notice that what I try to do is I try to start off every show with a certain topic, and that is kind of my way of giving back. I'm gonna I spill a little bit of my knowledge, and then if I get callers in that want to talk about that, that's great. If they want to talk about something else, that's great too. But I try to do that every night that I go live. Do you think that's a good idea?
Okay, I do think that's a good idea. Yeah, and I think just like Nick was saying in that stream the other day, that the titles are huge. Making the you have your thumbnail. Like I'm looking at your channel right now. I like it. I like you have the good
thanks.
thumbnails. I think the titles are good.
They need work, but yeah, thanks.
Consistency with the look, but you're also changing it based on like I see that first troll one. You have the troll face, the classic troll face on there, which is going to get people to click on it for sure. And you can see how it has 17 views, and your Craigslist one has a little more views and stuff like that. They're key terms. The guests, the topics and the guests are going to be huge. And
yeah, oh yeah.
I'll end up.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I jumped on you.
Keep going.
Oh, I said I'll end up redoing a thumbnail for this as well. But that is my goal is one, be honest, and I've covered that in some of my videos too. Be honest about your optimization, because what you don't want to do is create a bunch of clickbait. So every one of my, with the exception of the work with me, is dead on what I talked about. There's no question about that, and even though I'm making funny faces and whatnot, that is what they should expect when they get it. And that's always been a goal of mine.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, clickbait, depending on how look at that terminology, I think it's really just like a catch-all for the kind of interest. As long as it's not like, hey, this is a complete different topic, like some beautiful women, and then it's just you talking, like that's the classical clickbait. If you have to change the title to seem more interesting, like if there's one thing that happens on your stream out of a hour-long stream, maybe clip that one part out, or just include it in there and put a timestamp, like in the top comment or something.
Yeah, and that's what I plan on doing with a lot of these. And in fact, I talk about instant collaboration too. So if somebody wanted to come on, let's just use a relatively small YouTuber channel, and expecting mine to grow, of course, is I'd like them to come on and tell me all about it. We'll go through it and we'll talk about it kind of the way Nick did, but face to face, of course. And then I'll end up cutting that out and creating a separate video for that specific visit, right? And then they can use that as well on their channel, and that way it helps both of us. I'm hoping that comes to fruition.
No, that's actually I like that idea. And there's actually some tools, and I know YouTube has it like in their. I know they added it to their live streaming, and I think you can check it out. You were in the live stream interface earlier. I saw you checking that out. Changing the settings, like that. They have a highlight feature in there that you can actually clip sections of the live stream as it's happening as a host.
Oh,
but there are some
I haven't seen that.
applications that I like to do it too.
No, I haven't seen that.
What do you?
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. The clip outs. I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. Yeah, I'm literally learning the YouTube live interface. Actually, the YouTube interface from this side entirely as I go.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot in there, but like especially for live stream.
Oh yeah,
those settings are pretty beefy. With the technical nature of it. But yeah, the clipping distribution of it is huge. Like you just said, like, oh hey, I have a guest on, and if they promoted themselves, but me too, it would be huge for both of our growth. It's like, how do you get that clip to them? So do I get the live stream? Like, I don't know if you're recording it locally. Some people that do live streams, they just go from their phone, and then they take, they either do like a screen capture, or they download the entire live stream and then edit it that way, which it's not very scalable. It's not very good for quality.
No,
you get the degradation, and take screen capture.
Yeah.
Lower and stuff like that.
And for that, to answer that question though, if somebody did come on and we're doing like a little collaboration, let's say we're promoting, whatever they wanted to promote, I would go ahead and fire up a record of that, just so I would have it local and I wouldn't have that degradation. Nice.
That's good.
Yeah. But for the most part though, I don't record these locally. I don't, the need for that hasn't come up yet.
It might though.
Although I should have started this one.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think as you go further, I think this type of format is good for that because, for the reason that you explained, but also the, because if you're taking on guests, your video might get striked. Unfortunately, when you take guests on randomly, it's just the nature of the beast that there could be something that's a little, just something that happens. You don't know what it is, but there are those guidelines of whether it's a nudity or that's primarily what it is. Sometimes there is content that, I saw one guy that got his YouTube channel, he was doing a live stream and he put his foot in his mouth and that got him striked. And it was like self-harm or there was something that somebody reported him for it. There's not too many. YouTube's good.
Wow.
They let a lot go by. Twitch is much more strict with their policies. Like YouTube,
That's what I've heard.
They don't really, but it's you always gotta be careful with that. So a local live stream as you're growing, I think, depending on who the guest is, there might be a time where you're like, oh, this is getting pretty crazy. All right, let's hit the record button. Let's back this up in case like this could be content that's worthy.
Yeah.
There are services, like I was saying, there's a clipping service called Neat Clip, and that allows you to, if you have viewers, you can say, oh, either there's a Chrome extension that they can add to their stream, or to their Chrome page, whatever, and then they can click a button that's next to the YouTube player called Neat Clip, and it'll send a clip of the last 2 minutes of your live stream, and then they can cut it down to a smaller size that has its own web interface. So you don't need to download anything, and hit save, and it will give you a link to that clip that you can either download the clip and then upload it to whatever channel, or they can just share Neat Clip on Reddit, on Twitter, any other social media platform. So it's really in real time distribution of your content. So you can always say like to your viewers, like, oh, use Neat if you want to. If there's anything that you want to clip, just hit Neat. Download Neat Clip, or they don't even need to download anything. You can use Neat Clip without a Chrome extension. So you can just you say, hey, here's Neat Clip. Here, take clips. Like if you have a bunch of people doing wacky stuff, that's where you grow fast. Is the distribution of those Neat Clips is like, if you share that to Reddit to like live stream fails or something happens, it doesn't even need to be fail. It can be a win too. It can be something that's cool. You share it out there, like that's tremendously huge for strategy.
It's on the list, my friend.
It's on Reddit. You're pretty good. Like,
you're golden. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's to the point where people they artificially create fail moments. Like they'll just do something wacky, like something like a jackass stunt or something.
Or stick your foot in your mouth.
But it's gonna go wrong in some aspect.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need you to body slam that table on Friday, okay?
Well, if I'm drinking again, it might happen, man. I can't guarantee anything won't.
You tackle that light post like Dwight Freeney.
Oh, man, Dwight Freeney. Yeah. You had to throw one of my guys out there. I loved Dwight. I actually got to meet him.
Are you an Indy fan?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm kind of dropping out of the NFL thing. I'm a vet, and it really hurt me to see the protests, because I have no problem with anybody protesting their own time, but the country that I defended, I really felt disparaged by that. The original intent of Kaepernick, right? So I've kind of gotten away from it. I'm waiting for the NFL to actually apologize to the fans, and let everybody protest whenever they want to, just not when you're trying to sell me a product is all I'm asking. But yeah, I've been an Indy fan since they moved here in '84. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Through hard times
that's a good reason.
And good times.
I agree with that though. Like, no reason to stop watching it. Not to get totally clear on that. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it so hurts because I've just been a super fan for ages, dude. It was so nice to see him go to the Super Bowl twice, and fortunately that all happened beforehand. But it's been really tough for me the last couple of years. Just really, really tough. I don't know. Maybe it's the hyper patriot in me. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm trying to. Well, thanks for that. I really want to keep the politics out of the show. I'm not trying to cut that off, but I want you to know that's something that is real important to me, because that can be so polarizing. I mean, I'll talk about it to folks, but I'm really not going to throw throw any bones out there or anything like that. I'll talk to anybody that wants to express their opinion, but I don't think it's,
Right.
I don't think, because I don't want to be a pundit. And it's better if I keep my mouth shut about a lot of things like that.
I know it's hard though. I mean, it is so hard because the political realm is injected into so much of our, into every aspect of our life, at least at this point. So, and I agree because, I mean, like any content, once people understand, what affiliation you might have, they don't agree with that thing, they'll stop watching, they'll stop, it's just how it goes. And I've seen people get trolled off the internet because of it. They say one wrong thing. Not to sound like not to sound like a dooms, like everything's doom and gloom and everything. It's that severe, but it does happen. Like there's everyone what they believe in and stuff like that. So I think that's probably a good idea to kind of shy away from it, but
I'm just going to stay neutral. I just don't see any. I don't want to change anybody's mind. I'm more here to help than I am to dictate. So, although the guy with the mic always wins.
Yeah, I mean, if people are talking about it, I don't think it's a problem if like it kind of goes that direction. But I do agree that staying neutral is big for your content, for your brand, for your YouTube.
It helps everybody get along, right? Yeah. It's more in a vein of wanting to be humble and personable rather than opinionated and the assholes we were talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because they'll find that thing. They'll find
yes, they will.
Triggers you.
Yes, they will.
Be crazy with it. This is fun. I really like this. I really think you're. I'm curious.
You are a subscriber now, aren't you?
What'd you say?
I said you are a subscriber now, aren't you? You are a subscriber, right?
Yeah, no, I subscribed the other day. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
I actually checked the little bell button, so I get.
Even better.
If you go live, I'll go on the phone and stuff.
Well,
not
it won't. Sure, but without giving away too much, you say you're in New England, so you're on Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yep.
Oh man, are you a Patriots fan?
I am. Yeah, that's why we started.
Click. No.
When I saw India, I was like, I don't know how good. What this finds out, man, I don't know how good that's.
Yeah. It's like, well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, well, you were a good guest. Yeah, the video. Delete.
No.
Yeah, even if you did, I wouldn't.
Oh no! I'd never be that guy. I'd never be that guy. In fact, I've had some of the best conversations with hardcore Patriots fan at Colts games. It was so much fun because there's that that little mid group rivalry right there in the stands. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think Colts fans and Patriots fans have a lot in common in the fact that they really understand football. They get the game more than a lot of other fan bases, and Indy's a hardcore group because you don't have many other sports in Indy. What is it? Only the Pacers, right? I think.
Yeah, we've got the Pacers. Yeah, and we've got a bunch of. Well, we've got the Indians, but they're not in NBA. And we've got the Ice, which are not NHL hockey. But we used to have the Racers. Are you old enough to remember the Racers?
No, I'm not. I'm 31.
Oh yeah, it was our own pro hockey team back in the 70s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my father was a huge hockey fan, so we went to every one of those. What's that?
I said, yeah, I never heard of them.
Yeah, the Racers, based on the Indy 500, no less. Same way the Pacers. There's a couple of stories about the Pacers. Yeah.
Ever been to any,
And
500 races?
oh, the races? Oh God, yeah. I can't even count them. It's a rite of passage here in Indy. In fact, back when I was growing up, it was wide open. You know, that's when the snake pit was actually a snake pit, not a fenced-in little area that somebody sponsors. And we used to have senior skip day. Senior skip day always meant going out to the track on practice day and drinking your face off. I mean, it was, just such a good time and a good memory. I don't know how many times I've gone to the race and wondered who won. I was so, lit after the whole thing. That is the kind of running joke. Hey, I had a great time at the 500. Who won?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's part of my blood, man.
Yeah,
I was
that's amazing.
Yeah, my father took me back when I was just a wee guy, and we used to do the police escort in on qualification weekends, and it's just a part of me, And my best part was when I was working at Fox 59, which is a local Fox station here, as engineer/production staff. I was the one that created their first website. So then I had to be, since we didn't have a reporter set up for, the website specifically, I became the reporter for Fox 59 for their internet presence. Yeah. So I was spent, every waking moment out there, which was cool because I had all access pass. It was awesome. Loved it.
So you built the website yourself? Did you code it?
All from scratch.
HTML,
yeah. It was all HTML because back then we didn't even have front page, much less, the Dreamweavers of today and the WYSIWYGs, which they were, of course. But it was all text based, which I had learned because.
How did you learn? Did you buy a book, or what was your? I'm actually really curious. It's kind of a cool historical thing to hear people
sure.
that were building websites back in '94. That's interesting. What was your?
Sure.
What got you into it?
What got me into it? Oh boy, I could talk for hours on this. I'm going to try to make this one short for you. Back,
you can go off,
and you're going to. You're going to smack me in the head when you hear this story. But back in about 91 or 92, I had this wonderful idea because, when you're in broadcast, you don't make any money unless you're in front of the camera. So I'm looking for ways to make money. And I thought, and I was looking for a car as well. And I thought, Jesus, all I can do is keep driving around to these places and looking at different cars and picking up newspapers and calling and everything. I thought, what if you're gonna get this immediately? What if I could go to a website, put in the make and model generalizations about the vehicle I'm looking for, and then every car dealer close to me that had a model like that would show up on my screen. Wouldn't that be awesome? So I started a company called Auto Search, and this is the first time anyone but my friends and family have heard about this. So this is now going to be part of the internet. That I've had this idea well before Cars.com, well before Auto Trader, well before all those. So what I did was, and this is before the image spec on the internet. It was all text based. All us geeks were creating text based websites at that point. So what I did was, I produced my own commercials right there at Fox 59, off hours. I did all the voiceover. I did all the video editing and everything. And I created a database with exactly those specifications where you had your make, model, color, all the accoutrement that goes with buying a car. And I sent a letter out to every one of the used and new car dealerships in Marion County, which is all of Indianapolis. I think there was like 238 of them. Maybe my number's off because it was a long time ago. And I got 2 responses back. 2.
Oh, no.
Yep. And I ran the commercial. Thing was, I was going to, I spent like $700 running this thing on cable TV. I didn't have the money to run it on the networks. So I ran it on cable TV, and I got plenty of people calling me wanting to search for their automobiles, but I didn't have any automobiles.
Oh, wow. That is
and I was too poor.
Really interesting.
Is that a sad story, though? Is that like the saddest story you've ever heard in your life? Because after that, I didn't have enough money to even buy. We were probably too stretched out, and I swore off credit cards after all that. But I didn't even have enough money to buy the URL, because they were back $35 back then. Not you can get as low as like $2 now, but I couldn't even buy the URL and justify it back in the day, and started when the image spec came down. And then of course, everybody ran away with it. Oh, man.
Yeah.
But I forgot why I started.
It's interesting that, and I think though, but I don't know, like I'm not going to laugh at it. I think it's a great idea. And it stinks that, you had this idea, but the market just wasn't ready for it. That
no.
People didn't understand technology in a way to get people to grasp that concept. Like, that's actually how Zappos, which is the shoe company, you're talking about doing things in a way that doesn't scale. You just manually contacted these, these auto dealerships and used car salesmen and tried to get them to use a platform. It's like a chicken and an egg. You're gonna get the cars in there first before you can get the used. Like, what do you have? So, what was that email that you sent to them? Were you like, hey, I'm doing this whole thing, I'm going to advertise, potential for you to get sales? Like, what was your process?
It wasn't an email. It was a letter.
Oh, yeah. You said, letter.
Yeah, they didn't have email. I had a text-based website back on Trader.com, and I don't know if you know about Trader, but here locally, Trader was a buy-sell paper, right, for individuals. They hadn't even gone commercial yet.
Okay.
But they also started up their own BBS back in the day, and I had an account. But no, my first contact with them was a promotional letter and an explanation. I told them all about what I was trying to do. I tried not to be too verbose. I tried to make it to where they could understand what it was. I'm compiling this entire list of all your inventory, and then I'll send you qualified buyers that are looking for that car that you've got sitting on your lot. They obviously didn't buy it. I didn't do a good enough job on that, or it was just way before it's, ahead of its time. But yeah, that was the whole idea, man. It was a letter.
Wow.
I kick myself every time because I should have ran with that. But see, this is the thing that, here I'm starting this up, and I think it's right at the edge of being ahead of its time, because not a lot of people are comfortable in being in front of the camera yet. So I've done this my entire life. It's just an entrepreneurial spirit that won't die.
It's amazing though, and I do like I explained earlier, I do have a startup, and it's not, I'm not going to really get into the details of it. It's I should be working.
Well, hopefully you will one day. Yeah,
I will be.
Hopefully you'll come back. Yeah,
it's I love startups. I love hearing about it, and to hear you talk about, something that you tried to do in '94. In that the market just
probably closer to 92.
In the circumstances of everything, it's really interesting. I love hearing it, and I think I don't know. I don't know why. There's a lot of different variables into why it could have worked and it couldn't. I know for me, I wouldn't have had the balls to do what you did. I probably should. I should probably get to that level where I just don't care as much about like projection and whatnot. You kind of have to have that, especially as a business owner.
Yep. Rejection can't kill you.
Right. It's true. It can demotivate you, but unmotivating. I just think that I would probably try to get somebody that I know. That would be my thing. Is like, I have a buddy that the salesman, and then I just ship it to him, and he'll just go and like dress in a suit and try to have all these meetings and like really try to sell it to that point. Whereas even back then, I don't even think that would have worked because people just didn't understand the internet. They didn't get
not
how it
not even close. Not even close.
Right.
But that would have been a smarter thing to do. I think if I'd have had somebody that I could have thrown out there, because I am so not a salesman. I'm a great sales wingman, but I'm not going to go, I'm not the guy that jumps up and shakes your hand and tries to get you to buy my wares. But I'll tout its its advantages to you. So that probably would have been a real good idea for me. It's just way too early for that.
You want to do things yourself. That's kind of the point that I've kind of been at. It's like you get a little bit confident. You're like, I'm going to do everything myself. Like, I don't know if I need somebody and whatnot. But I do realize, and I have a buddy that I've had help me with some of that stuff, and it is extremely important to just rely on somebody to do that stuff, to have those connections for whatever ventures are. Like you doing the broadcast world, you can just transfer the same idea. It's like just some entrepreneur or whatever. It's like, people that bring it to life.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
I know.
let me get back to what.
No,
what were we saying?
Keep going. I'm sorry. I'm just rambling.
Oh, sure.
I'm just muttering to myself.
That's a bad habit taken from Mr. Mutterer. But anyway, you asked me.
Live on another person's, YouTube. It's like, oh yeah, maybe you shouldn't just like talk to yourself.
No. I actually appreciate it. But getting back to what you're asking me, you asked me how I got involved in doing websites. Well, after that, since I'd been playing around with some text-based websites, I saw very quickly that the image spec was going to come down. And as self-serving as it sounds, I was just going to make, my page, my home page. So I did. As embarrassing as it sounds, it was called the Champer Zone. So, okay. Oh God. And I still have that on floppy disk, as a matter of fact. What's that?
What was that about? Like, it was your own homepage?
Oh, yeah, just what I liked, what I didn't like. And, but I taught myself to code in just straight HTML. And of course it was very, very simple back then. There were so many, fewer tags available than there are today. And the station picked up that I'd been playing with it. So when in around 96, when everybody was thinking they needed a web presence, they came to me and said, "Hey, Jim, I know this has been a hobby of yours. Do you think you can put together the station website? We'll give you full access to the graphics department," which guys are still my friends to this day. And can we put something together? So we did. And it took us a couple months. We all went off and did our own design ideas, came back. They went with mine. And and then I built it from scratch. But it was unique in that the team that I put together with the graphics department decided to do it as a monthly format. We didn't want to just do a static. And this is one of the first television sites out there, especially one of the, if not the first, that changed its content entirely every month, if not more. Not only that, but we introduced live school closings as a sellable product. And I talked to that sales guy today who, yeah, it was awesome. It was all manual. It was all me. So whenever they would come down, I'd have to literally type them in, and then I rotated them on the bottom of the screen. It was brutal, actually, but we were one of the first that ever did it. So that's how I learned how to. Yeah, that's how I learned to code in text, just HTML. I mean, I didn't do any other coding really. Worked a little bit with some basic, but got out of that. It just wasn't my bag. I was a little more creative than I was technical when it came to that sort of stuff. So I did a whole lot of graphics things, and from then on it was all me. They asked me if I'd like to manage it, and I said sure. So they created a title for me, which was Director of Internet Services, and I did that for the next 2 years. And then, some people pulled me off for more money, as it happens.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be talking about me, and we're supposed to be talking about you.
No, I know. Well, I mean, it's really interesting. Like, I'm actually like, I know I should be. I don't know. I like asking questions, and I think, I have more. What do you still do? Like HTML? Do you still do any coding?
Oh, I do. Even today in the world of WordPress type sites, there's still a lot of coding you've got to do, especially when you're talking about widgets and whatnot. So, but it's so much less than it used to be. So much less. But I try to dabble.
So you mean like
still
like less code that you have to do, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What you end up doing more now of is CSS, because you want it to look a specific way, or you want something to function a specific way that's not, a more advanced like an Ajax or even JavaScript. Then you control it via CSS. So I do more of that than any HTML, of course. But I've kind of gotten away from it. It's kind of one of those cobbler's children has no shoes. I haven't even created a website for the show yet. I've got the URL, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to one of these days.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do, I mean, it's a good idea, and I'll like I said, I'll email you some resources that I have. I have some
Sweet.
notes with different YouTube channels and some websites. There's actually like a large community of people that create similar content. I wouldn't say what you're doing. I mean, they do similar stuff, but it's much more like just interview style. They don't really open it up to the public. But I think they're great people to network with.
Sure.
There's one a podcast called the Podcasters Roundtable, and they do a live stream, I think, every Saturday, and they bring on some like experts in this world that they talk about strategies. And I think that guy actually does. It's kind of meta. He does a live stream about live streaming. But they actually it's kind of a funny topic.
That'll collapse the universe.
A dot live. That's what they sell, is a dot live. It's like this community of people that are live streamers, and they sell. They buy a domain that's like, let's say the video calling show dot live or something. It's an idea, and that they use the dot live into like a category of a site where they're like, I forget the actual name, but I have it written down, and I think there'd be excellent people to network with, especially for this type of content.
It sounds like it.
Would be an excellent idea, and just to kind of put like little all your expertise on there, things that you're learning, or new tricks or tips that you're doing. I think would be kind of cool too.
Yeah, I'm all about that. This old dog will never stop learning.
Yeah. It's, I try to tell a lot of people that, but some people, kind of get caught in their own ways, and they don't really push themselves to the level that they can, especially with YouTube and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you want to create a YouTube channel? Go look at other YouTube channels and see what they're doing. Like, look at the thumbnails and look at what the content is, what their titles are, and stuff like that. It's you kind of just need to push people a little bit. So, hey, you should.
Oh yeah.
Continue to learn. Like, don't stop learning. Just whatever you're doing, keep learning. Good advice.
Well, keep learning and keep doing, because you only get so many trips around this sun, man, and that bucket list has to start as early as possible. I started mine what I consider far too late. I'm somewhere in my 40s, and I've lived my life that way ever since. This was one of those bucket list items that I could not give up on.
That's amazing. I love it. But yeah, that's. I do coding myself. I know, and the reason why I was so interested in you talking about doing just HTML and all that stuff. So that's what I do. I'm a web developer. I'm actually self-taught. I've been doing it for 5 years.
Brothers.
Roughly 5 or 6 years, I started out doing PBX systems on Linux.
Mm-hmm.
For doing like voice calling and stuff like that with a buddy that I met on the internet through Skype. We used to have this thing called Skypecast back in the day that you could join these little call groups and little shows.
Yeah.
And I met him through there, and we just connected. And years later, he was like, "Hey, how come you don't?" Like I was really big into video editing, Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Sony Vegas. Then I got into like 3D modeling and Photoshop and.
Did you enjoy the show? Hope you did. If so, click that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss another episode. We're on live every weeknight, weather permitting, and we know you want to get your voice heard. You want to come on the show. We know you do. Don't you be toying with me. We'll see you live.